Looking at these two triangles, there are no right angles apparent in either of those two triangles, so we can't use our basic trig, but we are going to be able to use the further trig, sine rule, cosine rule, formula given on the formula sheet. Just as a general rule, just to find out whether it's a sine or the cosine rule before you start, looking at the triangle, if you've got two angles, it'll be the sine rule. Two angles, sine rule. If it's got one angle, it'll be the cosine rule. One angle, cosine rule. So for the first one over here, we're going to use the sine rule. Before we start with the sine rule, why not find the missing angle? It might be useful, it might not, but let's do it anyway. 40 and 80 is 120, angles add up to 180, leaving us with 60 degrees here. Once you've done that, remembering what the sine rule states, it's a over sine A is b over sine B equals c over sine C, as I say, given on the formula sheet, so we don't need to remember it. Labelling our sides here, we can do it fairly randomly, doesn't make any difference, A, B and C. Little a is opposite to big A, little b is opposite big B, little c is opposite big C. And looking what we've got, I've got A, sine A, C, sine C, so it's the second two bits of the formula. And swapping the numbers in, we get x over sine 40 is equal to 6 over sine 60. We need x by itself, so I need to get rid of the divided by sine 40, so I times by sine 40. I end up with x is equal to 6 over sine 60 times by sine 40. And then it's just a case of putting the values into the calculator, making sure you've got the little d in the top corner there. So look then, so we've got 6 over sine 60, and then we want to multiply by sine 40, press equals, we get a huge long decimal. We want 3 sig fig, so the 5 is a third significant figure. 3 doesn't change it, so our answer is x is 4.45 centimetres. So that's relatively straightforward. With the second question, we said we need to use the cosine rule. Now the cosine rule looks like this. A squared is b squared plus c squared minus 2bc times by cosine A. Now again, that is given to you on the formula sheet. But the important thing here is when you come to labelling your sides, make sure you get the A as the angle. So A is going to be this one here. And even if they label the letters on the corners differently in the question, change that to an A. It'll just make everything a lot more straightforward. So that's A. It doesn't matter which way around we do these. Let's say B and C look like that. So A is opposites to A, opposite B, opposite C, C. And then we've got everything we need. And we just swap the numbers into the formula. So A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2 times b times c times cos 110. Now, after that, all you do is just stick the numbers straight into the calculator. Don't try and work anything out as you go along. Just put them in. So 10 squared plus 8 squared minus 2 times 8 times 10 times cos 110, close brackets, equals, and we get 218.72. So a squared is 218.72, and the decimal goes on for a little bit as well. But that's what a squared is. So to get a, we need to square root. So square root our answer, and we end up with 14.78. So square root 218.72. So a is equal to, now again, looking at the calculator, 3 sig fig, 14 of the 7 is the third significant figure. The 8 after it rounds it up. So we get a is 14.8 centimetres.